Once upon a time, in a garage not very far away, I started a Power Wheels Jeep project. Let's maybe finish that soon. Here's the deal. My first metal fab project, I might as well summarize since most of you weren't around then. I started a Power Wheels Jeep project. I took a Power Wheels Jeep, cut the body off, and I'm trying to make it in steel. It was going to be a project for my kids, and I got a lot of it done, and then I didn't do it. Didn't do much for a long time. And then I did some more, and then I hated it. And then I didn't work on it for a long time. And then I got fresh eyes, fresh, renewed spirit, redid a bunch, sort of liked it. And then my kids started playing with it, and you can't work on it, can't paint it or nothing when the kid's out driving it around. And then it was now, and then I don't know what happened. So we're going to keep going. And here it is in sheet metal. We're getting a lot of flash rust. I've done the grill and the hood. I don't know if you've seen that. I extended the steering. It wasn't a comfortable height for my daughter, so I moved it because I extended the wheelbase forward a little bit, so I had to extend that and point it up so it was comfortable. It now steers very smoothly, more smoothly than it did when it was new, mainly because there's like a half bushing there now to kind of hold everything nice and secure. The battery, I did not put an area like a hole to run the wiring up into here. This is where I'm going to put the battery. That's kind of the half bushing. I'm supposed to have a cover over that, but I haven't bothered yet. There's enough room in there for 2 Power Wheels batteries or 1 big car battery, so we can soup it up in the future if we want. These aren't welded on, but I had to make these a couple of times, few different designs. I haven't even welded this one up yet. The other one's been welded. And like the grill, the back piece, which isn't here, went through multiple redesigns, and some of it is in the dumpster, like the first grill. So, but I think I have a new idea. I bought some metal that I can use, and I can use my sheet metal. Maybe I'll remake that today if there's time. But basically, the thing I want to do is, for one, get all the flash rust kind of off there in preparation of painting. And there are also a few places where the welding isn't complete. There's a couple of pinholes here and there, not too much. And this is pretty bad. I've already filled in this on the other side just with MIG weld, and then ground it smooth, so I want to do that. And then this hood isn't quite fitted. So that's the plan today. So get it a little bit closer to paint, do all the finish welding and grinding, then maybe do a back thing, and then it should be pretty much ready. There's no bumper. I haven't made the bumper yet. The original bumper on the actual old Jeep sticks out, and there's like a metal bar. And I thought I was going to do that, and then my daughter rammed into my leg with this, and that's all steel. So maybe I'm going to rethink the bumper and do like a plank of wood coated in foam, something like that. But that'll be stuck on later. It's certainly not going to be steel, so I can't weld it to this. So I can go ahead and paint what I have here. Sound like a plan? No, it doesn't, because I don't really have a plan. I'm just going to make it better. That's the plan. There we go. That'll hold it in place. All right. See, this was a mistake in how I folded this up, and it ended up popping the back of this up a little bit. So I have this little area to fill in and smooth out. And I'm going to do that with the MIG welder, like I did on the other side. See, MIG welding tweed jacket, MIG gloves, ground clamp. And in this case, I'm not actually going for penetration. Adhesion on top and to fill in this gap. Some people use filler. I don't have Bondo or any kind of filler. And really, isn't that cheating? I guess this is cheating too, but I'm okay with it. Got into a rhythm there. And now there's all these little pock marks around. I see a couple places I missed. I'm going to go get those. Now I want to keep this crease here because of reasons. So I think that's okay. I think now it's time to break out the grinder. Going to grind and see where any low spots show up and build them back up with the MIG wire. Round 1, not bad. I'm gonna have to get something to cut this divider here just a little bit more securely. I don't think I have the weld adhering from here to here. I just have it kind of touching this part and then cooling. So it'll probably be pretty easy to just kind of maybe use a Dremel or something and just make that a little more clear of a distinction. Another type of thing I'm going to do today, notice how nice and smooth this corner is. Not totally smooth, but look at this corner. This is a little bit chunky. And it's not chunky because it's been in any accident or anything. It's chunky because these are the first attempts that I had at shrinking metal. So this had to be folded and then kind of curved around to shrink here. And along this edge, it got kind of gnarly. I tried like picking from underneath the low spots, pick them up, and then use a hand file and stuff. But it's not perfect. And I'm going to use Mr. Power File here, the grinder, and make that a little bit nicer. See how that looks much more smooth, except for my irregular grinding. But it doesn't have any pock marks in it anymore. Focus! So that's always a plus, right? Next problem area. I didn't do a super clean job of bending these things over, so it looks all rough. And I got it mostly straightened out, but the waviness still kind of bothers me. So I'm going to try to use Mr. Grinder again and get all that smoothed out. Otherwise, I quite like the shape. I have the spots marked where I'm going to screw in. I have 3D printed indicators and lights, but I obviously can't put them on until after I paint it. So I indicated the centers, and I'm probably going to drill those out and then put a screw in from behind or something. You know, I'll figure that out later. We're worried about this, the lumpiness. Lumpy is not good. Except in cottage cheese. Lumpy cottage cheese is the best kind. Smooth cottage cheese, that's really just milk, isn't it? Alright, here it is up on the bench. It's going to be a lot easier to work with it up here, I hope. First off, I'm going to have to make sure I don't lose the spot of those, just in case I grind the Sharpie off. That's easy enough to do. I just set this. Big old ding. Set this. Oh, there already are marks. Well, now they're bigger ones. Done with my big hammer. And I can see them through the other side. Perfect! Starting to run out of flapper wheel on this one. I don't know how well that shows up on the camera, but it looks kind of wavy, but it's way better than before. They basically just got all the high spots, and any other imperfections I'm just going to live with. It'll fill in a bit with the high build primer and stuff. So I'm not worried about this now. It works. Alright, the very last thing to do is weld up the edges of this. The deal with this is the side little extra step. This isn't, this is supposed to be part of that side of the Jeep. It'll make a lot more sense if you saw it on the Jeep, but it's supposed to be integrated. I made them separate out of ease, and then I had to totally redesign it because what I thought I was going to do turned out not to be possible. I wanted to bend this and shrink around this corner. That's a very tight corner, tight shrink, and it's just not up to my abilities. So I ended up redesigning it, where instead this would be extended out of here, bent over, and then curled around. So it's just one example of how I've had to redo things multiple times, but this is supposed to be a learning experience, and I'm definitely learning. I'm going to try another experiment. So I've been trying to clean everything up before welding, and I've heard especially with TIG welding, you have to have everything real shiny clean, but MIG welding is not so picky. Of course a clean weld is optimal, but I wonder if I can just weld this flash rust. Just going to see what happens. I mean, if I'll do this corner first, because this one's you're not going to see this corner. And if that looks good, I'll try to do all of it welding through the flash rust and just see what happens, right? Experiment. That's what we do. Experiment. Seems to work. I mean, you be the judge. It's ugly, right? But I think it might work. Huh. Yeah, that seems to work pretty decently. Alright then, I guess away we go. I guess you can use a MIG welder on slightly dirtier stuff. Like, take a look, it got penetration and everything, so not that bad. Ooh. Okay, the next thing I want to do is give it a once-over with this, the drum sander. This gives a really nice brushed look. It can also take off the top rust, the little rust scale there, but what I really want to do with this is to reveal anything being hidden by the irregularities of the surface. So this will reveal what I have to do next. Alright, back together. That took far longer than I thought it would, but I found some little rippling which I guess is to be expected. Some grinder marks, quite shallow. I can barely feel them if I run my finger over it, but they are there. Most of this looks pretty decent. Most of this looks pretty decent. Grill ain't bad. This side ain't bad. I think I'm pretty happy with this. I think I can leave it like this. Of course, I'm going to have to redo a whole bunch of this stuff when it comes time to paint. And I'm not going to paint it today because I want to get that back thing done. I also haven't trimmed the front. It's just kind of sitting on there loose. So I want to get the hinges and then figure out how far the hood overhangs and then cut it to fit. Yeah, that's my plan. Pretty cool though. I really like the bare metal, just like the brushed metal look. That looks really cool. I am going to paint it though. Okay, here we are. I skipped ahead a bit. I made a pattern, drew some stuff, cut out a thing, Sharpie. You know how it works. The idea here is this is going to be fold 90 degrees over the top of the Jeep. This will be 90 degrees underneath. That'll fit over nicely. These will actually be folded up, and I'm going to weld a couple things top and bottom to kind of give it a look, the look of how the thing kind of looks. Not exactly, but the rear hatch tailgate thing has some cool details, and I'm going to just kind of summarize them, so to speak, but not duplicate them exactly. Then I'm going to bead roll these. I'm not going to put a sign here because that's going to be complicated, and I really just want this thing done. But it means I'm going to have to figure out the process of bead rolling and which to weld and fold first. What I think I'm going to have to do, because the bead roller has kind of a narrow channel, I'm going to have to bead roll all of these first, then fold these up in the brake, then fold these up with the pliers, probably. Probably not going to do a super clean job of that, but that'll just make it look more like an old Jeep. You know, you hear people with like show cars talk about fender gap consistency and all this detail. You look at an old Jeep, it's generally rusted out and covered in mud. And that's kind of their thing, I think. Even the ones that are perfect, like the fender gaps you can fit your hand through some of them. So I think I'll be fine. But I'm going to have to get the bead roller set up, and fingers crossed my spine holds out, because that thing is heavy. Oh jeez. This welder and I are gonna definitely have to get together and make a plan for a stand for this thing. I think this thing is heavier every time I touch it. That corner looks a little funky. Gonna have to work on that. That doesn't look good. Screwed that up. Looks like anvil is gonna have to save me here. There, pounded most of that out. And where I have it sitting, I go down until it touches, then I back off 1, 2, 3 turns, lift, set it down, go back to 1, 2, 3 turns. This way I'm never quite overwhelming it. Go to about the center, rotate around, and go back over it. So there's the side that wasn't too cruddy. That side looks really cruddy, but I don't feel the cruddiness. It was cruddy and then I hammered it flat, and now it's not so bad. This side looks really rusty, so that doesn't help, but hopefully that'll look fine once I clean it up after I do the folding. And now I need to put the metal brake here. More spine braking action. Okay, so this is a slightly different setup. I'm not using the big plate that this thing comes with because I don't want to force down on these beads that I rolled, because I can screw them up. So I'm using this thinner piece here and just clamping just along the edge. When I pull up also, this isn't a very sharp edge, so it'll give me a slight radius, which I don't know if I'm going to like or not, but I don't have anything else to put here. So I'm going to deal with it. Just take it easy and see what happens. This isn't clamping these very well. Should I carry on anyway? Of course I should. The problem is not actually that this isn't deep enough. The problem is there's something underneath blocking this from going on farther. Mission accomplished. Moving on. I can clamp on this one with the big plate though. See, this is a big heavy plate. However, it's not very thick in this dimension. So it actually has a bit of flex to it, more than you would want. And I've seen people modify these by taking a big piece of angle, like 1x1 angle or something, and really thick, and just welding it along here to give it more stiffness. And I might do that eventually. Not right now, because I don't have a giant thick piece of angle. I have some thinner angle, but maybe I'll get to it. There are more modifications you can do to this brake, but the more I look at details and I think it's not worth it. This was super cheap, and it is cheap in every way, and modifying it would make it better, but still crap. So I might as well just save my energy and money, and eventually just buy a better brake. Maybe a pan brake or something from a company that isn't Harbor Freight. And I gotta say, for like the no money this thing cost, it does work a lot better than no brake. Here we go. I'm bending this line first, and then I'll bend the inner line next. That's just, I have to go outward to inward to make it work with this metal brake. And you know, if this piece doesn't fit perfectly, I'll live. Let's see, I wasn't going to use this, was I? I'm just going to clamp her up along the edge and hope this works better. I don't trust the square tubing. Learning as I go. If you haven't figured it out, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of winging this. Long-standing members, long subscribers, whatever. People who have seen this kind of thing before know I'm just making it up and talking, and that makes me look like I'm someone on the internet who claims to know what I'm doing, but I totally don't. But there's something freeing about knowing you're not an expert and continuing on anyway, because that's how you learn. Get a little more. A little bit of oil can, but that's fine. There, nicer looking. This still looks gross. Last fit check. I like it. Next up, paint. Can you believe it?